Boruto episode 130 review. Alright guys, this episode is definitely a very good episode. It's more like a hype episode. It's almost like the previous chapter that the Boruto manga put out, where it's like the current chapter or episode, it's very good, but of course the next chapter or episode is going to be much better, and of course obviously one of the better episodes of the whole series as a whole. Before I get into the video, I do want to give a huge shout out to my sponsor for today's video, and it's going to be Bricks Breaker Quest. Now I'm pretty sure you guys see how it's played. You pretty much use the ball to break all of the bricks. Because of the super simplicity, it's super easy to pick up and just play whenever you want to. A big thing that I love about this game is that it's free to play. You can pretty much get it on your iPhone, your Android, pretty much everywhere, and also there's tons of stages. Now there's also various types of balls, which is like a great thing mainly because you have something to try to go after. You can also play it offline. You don't need an internet connection to actually play the game. It's multiplayer supported, and also you could play it on tablets as well, and it's even supported by achievements and leaderboards. Honestly, this is definitely one of my favorite games. I play this in between classes. I play this when I'm waiting for my videos to upload, just whenever I have some free time. My biggest problem with the game is that I can never really put it down just because it's so addictive. I highly recommend you guys give this game a try. You guys will definitely not regret it. The link is going to be in my description below. As I said, check it out. Let me know what you guys think about it. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, one thing that I do want to say, over the past couple of arcs, I've been having a big problem with the arcs pretty much having like, I'd say like 5 episodes of slice of life and like 2 episodes of actual action. Now it seems like this right here is like the only arc where I would be absolutely okay with that. I would be absolutely okay with seeing Boruto and Sasuke walking around with all the old generation characters for like 10 episodes and only seeing like 2 episodes of Urashiki, but it seems like for the first time we're not getting that. Urashiki actually appeared in this episode, and it was honestly a bummer. Now it's not because I don't like Urashiki. I think that Urashiki is definitely one of the better Otsutsuki members, period, not only because of his strength but also because of his personality. He presents something very different from the other Otsutsuki members. But let's be honest, we all want to see Boruto interact with all the previous generation characters, and of course it looks like we're probably not going to get much of that in the upcoming episodes, which kind of makes me sad. Now before I dive into the Urashiki Otsutsuki content, I do want to talk about some things that could possibly be changing very rapidly in the Boruto series, and it's because Boruto's pretty much doing a lot of yapping. He's talking a lot. He's not necessarily letting everything play out by itself. It looks like Boruto's influencing the future a lot. Now, as I said, I spoke about this in my previous video. This might be a different timeline from the timeline that Boruto was on. So when Boruto goes back into his present timeline, nothing will be changed. But for this timeline, if it is different timelines, it's getting pretty screwed up. Now, first things first, it seems like the Sasuke retrieval mission didn't really happen. One of the biggest things coming into this week was that we were probably going to get to see them go on the Sasuke retrieval mission, and not only that, we were going to also get to see the adult Sasuke react to all the Sasuke retrieval activities and missions, and it seemed like we didn't really get that. The mission that they actually went on was actually cleaning some hot spring bathrooms. I don't even know what it was. It just was not the mission I was looking for. Of course, it was still great to see the interaction between Boruto and a lot of the previous generation characters, but it seems like Boruto's really influencing the past. I'm not gonna say that they aren't gonna go on the Sasuke retrieval mission. I feel like that right there would probably be top priority, not only for Tsunade but also for Naruto himself. We've seen him get very emotional when Boruto was actually asking about Sasuke, but as of right now, that's not looking like they're gonna go on it very soon, and that's like a bummer. Of course, Urashiki came back, and I thought Urashiki would probably come back while they're on the Sasuke retrieval mission, but it looks like that's probably not gonna happen. But the most important part of all of this is the fact that Boruto is actually influencing the actual current times. Now this right here might actually be a huge problem. Now not only that, Boruto actually ran into 2 characters, and I feel like this right here was more interesting. A lot of you guys kind of realized it. I see it on Twitter a lot, but there are 2 characters that it seems like they are actually in Boruto. Now I don't really know how this is going to influence the future, but Boruto is actually talking about the train. Now the 2 characters that we did see, they might be very familiar. This character right here might actually be Katasuke. If you guys see the resemblance, they look very much alike. And not only that, this character right here might actually be Denki's father. And as you guys see right here, those 2 look very much alike. Now, in my opinion, I feel like it's pretty much confirmed just because of the fact that they're in the anime. They don't put random characters in the anime for no reason. As a matter of fact, sometimes they do, but in this particular situation where there's a lot of interest and a lot of intrigue going on about all the previous generation characters, they could have shown any characters, but they decided to show these 2, and that right there seems like they're going to at least have a small impact on the future or current times in Boruto and the Boruto anime. Not only that, but also because they look alike, these 2 are pretty much, in my opinion, Katasuke and Denki's father. It just has to be that. Now, as I said, this might influence the future a lot, mainly because they didn't really have the ideas of the train this early. So if it is like the same timeline, when Boruto and Sasuke go back to the current future, there might be a lot more updates. There might be like multiple trains, there might be flying cars, there might be a whole bunch of things like that, and the scientific ninjutsu might be off the charts just because of what Boruto said and how Boruto made this guy think so far into the future. Of course, because Boruto is from so far into the future. Now, the biggest impact for Boruto about the future of his life is him actually meeting Hinata. Now, we understood that it was a very good possibility of Boruto meeting Hinata when this arc was actually announced, and it seemed like Hinata definitely was not nervous around Boruto, and they actually mentioned it, and they were actually kind of poking fun about how Hinata might have actually had a crush on Boruto, which obviously wasn't the situation. If Hinata has a crush on somebody, just like Naruto, she turned red and she'd be extremely nervous. But it was kind of cool seeing Hinata say that Boruto kind of looks like Naruto a little bit, and I really do like that interaction. But again, it's still a situation where it might impact the future very greatly. But overall, I was really surprised about how well Boruto handled that exact situation. Boruto really didn't crack under the pressure, and I thought that Boruto would probably have a much bigger problem, you know, meeting his mother, meeting his father, meeting a lot of the characters that he knew and grew up with, for example Shino and everybody else. And not only that, characters that he didn't really see before in the past, like Neji. I kind of thought that Boruto would slip up a little bit more. For example, the first time that he met Naruto, he called Naruto his dad. I thought the first time he probably meet Hinata, he might have actually called Hinata his mom, but it seems like Boruto kind of tightened up, and I like that about Boruto. But overall, I really just love the appearance of the other characters in this episode. Like, let's be honest, Neji's really a character that's close and dear to a lot of our hearts, and of course, seeing Neji in this episode was almost everything for me. And I know for a lot of the fans out there, seeing Neji in this episode was also everything. I really wish that Boruto and Neji particularly had a lot of time together, so Boruto could have actually seen Neji's personality and pretty much bonded with him a little bit more. Not as much as he bonded with Naruto, of course, let's not get too much out of hand, but I'd still like to see more of a dialogue between Boruto and Neji, and we might not actually get that chance again, depending on how well this Urashiki situation goes, and depending how fast that Boruto and Sasuke actually goes back into their present time. Now, I really feel like Neji could have had a very big impact on Boruto, not only because of the things that Neji went through. If you guys recall, Neji was pretty much like the outcast. Neji was viewed as like a lesser, where Boruto himself, he's pretty much hailed as like almost the prince of the Hidden Leaf Village. Now, Boruto was really impacted by seeing how Naruto was living, but I honestly feel like Neji could have possibly given him a bigger impact, mainly because Neji is a guy that understood that he was in a lesser position, and Neji pretty much didn't care about that, mainly because he worked his hardest. Like, every single day he worked hard on his Byakugan. Every single day he trained a lot, and of course Naruto trains a lot too, but Neji's more all business. And I feel like Boruto would kind of relate to Neji a lot, mainly because Neji growing up was very skilled. Boruto also was very skilled. Boruto, because of that, could possibly relate to Neji a lot more. Now, Boruto in this episode seen big bro Konohamaru, well, kind of little bro Konohamaru. Now, Boruto, of course, didn't really think that Konohamaru would kind of be like this. And of course, the first thing that Konohamaru and Naruto does when they link up is the sexy jutsu. Now, the sexy jutsu was taught to Konohamaru, or he kind of tried the sexy jutsu when he met Naruto in like episode 2 of Naruto. So this is really nostalgic right here. And of course, Konohamaru tries it. It seems like he didn't really get it right, and Naruto kind of tried to correct them. This right here was kind of weird to me, mainly because a lot of the times when Naruto and Konohamaru use the sexy jutsu, they don't really have clothes on. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have any problem with them having clothes on. It's like a different change of pace to what they usually do. Now, Boruto was literally seconds away from doing it as well. Naruto kind of praised Boruto and said like, hey, this guy can do the sexy jutsu as well, and Boruto, as I said, was seconds away from doing it. Then out of nowhere, Sakura just completely destroyed Naruto's jaw. Times like this really reminds me of why a lot of the characters, or a lot of the fans out there, excuse me, don't really like Sakura. Sakura was really like a vibe kill. Don't get me wrong, this right here is very much warranted, man, because the sexy jutsu was kind of like a distasteful type of jutsu, but still, Sakura always butts in and ruins everything. One of the biggest ruiner that Sakura had back in the day, when Naruto and Sasuke was actually fighting, Sasuke charged up his Chidori, Boruto charged up his Rasengan, and then Sakura started yelling out of nowhere. I'm honestly so glad that Sakura actually got less annoying over the time. But at the end of the episode, Urashiki actually returned. Now, in this particular situation, the strength of Sasuke is a little bit unknown. Now, in the manga, we understood Jigen pretty much said that it takes him like 2 days to go from empty chakra to full chakra. Now, in this situation, it's been a couple days from Sasuke and Naruto actually being in the village, possibly even more days. Now, I'm not saying that Jigen and Sasuke has like the same regeneration abilities, man, because Jigen himself is possibly some sort of Otsutsuki member, but also Sasuke has been in the village for also some time as well. For example, the current village, pretty much chilling in the current times, and he still didn't have all of his chakra. Now, it might be a certain situation where he kind of piggybacked on the amount that he already built up, but also during the clash with Urashiki when they actually went back in time, he lost a significant amount of chakra there as well. I don't really know how strong Sasuke is going to be in this situation, and we know Urashiki could pretty much handle Sasuke. This is going to be a very different fight from what we've seen before. Sasuke is not going to rely on his abilities, for example, his Aidojutsu, his Taijutsu ability, and of course just his raw speed and strength. He's going to rely on smarts, and of course Jiraiya is going to be there. He's probably not one of the best characters to rely on to help him in terms of smarts, but Sasuke is probably going to be there with Jiraiya, with Naruto, with Boruto, and he's probably going to have to devise a plan to beat Urashiki or take down Urashiki or even stop Urashiki in his tracks so they can have time to save Naruto. Now, I do feel like they do definitely have to eliminate Urashiki, but it is still a very good possibility that they just beat Urashiki and Urashiki leaves and decides like, hey, I'm going to wait another year for this situation, or probably go back and make a better plan about how I'm going to actually take Naruto's chakra. One of the things that I'm really confused about is, why does Urashiki only want the 9 tails in this situation? Like, he bypassed 8 different tailed beasts, one of which does not have a Jinchuriki host, and he just made a beeline to Naruto, which he understood would probably be protected by a god level character in Sasuke. That right there is just a little bit confusing to me, but I do know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below. As I said, it was definitely a very good episode, but in my opinion, it was like a build-up episode to the next episode of Boruto, which is most likely going to be a much more entertaining episode. And also, do you guys have my same sentiment or my same ideas of how this right here should have been like 10 episodes of slice of life of Boruto getting to know the previous generation of characters, and then probably like 2 episodes of, I don't know, Urashiki and everybody else fighting against each other? Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. But it's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
Check my clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols. Reaming my body, clothing no issue. Bitch, you look sick, you need a tissue. You drop a body, I just might bless you. I'm at your sexual, no high cholesterol. Where's Jenny Craig? Bitch, just get sexual.